So we're recording. All right, we're going to start in like 2 minutes.
You guys have like any logistical decal related questions? Well, we have 2 minutes. No? All right.
Neat.
That's everybody here.
Okay, let me share my screen.
Hey, Andy, have a good night.
Bye. What time is it? Okay. One more minute. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, I think so.
Like full screen share the Zoom too?
Yeah.
Okay.
All right, you guys can see the screen and you guys can hear me, right? Just let me know if you cannot, I guess. Cool. All right, it is 7:10. So let's get started. Hello, welcome to our first lecture for Linux DeCal. Today is just going to be Intro to Linux and Operating Systems. Or OSS, my bad. FOSS, yeah. So today we're going to go over the course logistics, Intro to Shell, what Unix is, and FOSS, which is free and open source software. Yeah, so just announcements. So Lab 1 is released and it's going to be due this Saturday at 11:59 p.m. PST. Vitamin 1 is going to be released Tuesday like today, right?
Yeah. The lab's already been released.
Yeah, Vitamin 1's going to get released today and it's going to be also due on Saturday. Enrollment codes have been sent out first round, but if you recently finished the lab 0, then we're going to send it out again today.
I wouldn't say today. After we close the forums, like
yeah, soon. Yeah, so you should have access to EdStem and Gradescope right now. If you don't, let us know. And you can post questions on Ed, or you can send, if you have private questions, to email decal@ocf.berkeley.edu.
Also, we are doing rolling enrollment because currently we have more seats in the course than we do currently enrolled students. So if you are auditing currently and are not, have not done Lab 0, please do so. You can enroll if you'd like.
Yeah. And if you think your questions can benefit other people, please post that on Ed so that other people can see it too. But if it's personal question, feel free to email. All the lecture slides, recording, and lab will be posted at decal.ocf.io. So yeah. Yeah, so you're going to be kind of following through the demo later on. First of all, you can connect to the shell to OCF Tsunami server. So if you go into your terminal, so let's see, let's do a little demo here. Yeah, so okay, if you go into the terminal and you can SSH into your account by doing SSH and then your username. Do you guys have OCF accounts? Does anyone here not have? Okay. Yeah, so you can type ssh.ocf.berkeley.edu and that will connect to your server. Yeah.
This is an easy way to follow along with our demos if you'd like to.
Yeah.
If you need help setting this up, I'll help you out there.
Yeah, but you can follow what we're doing with the commands by doing this SSH command. Okay. Yeah, so and at any point of time, if you have questions, just raise your hand and ask questions, or later on you can post it on Discord, decal /general, or on EdStem. So what is shell? It is a command line interface, CLI, to interact with the computer. This is as contrasting to the graphical user interface, which lets you like type text or move around your mouse or look at the pictures, but CLI is only text, so you input text and you output text. But so right now it seems like kind of like a limiting feature to be only able to type stuff in, but later on we'll see that this is a very powerful tool in Linux systems. So common shells that we use is Bash or ZSH or Fish. They're like they mostly do the same thing, but like Bash is supported by a lot of Unix systems, so Bash is like almost very commonly used. So a lot of the shell commands, so all of the basic structure of the commands is just commands and then flags and then arguments. So you'll see an example of this later. So yeah, read the fabulous manual. So it's if you type man and then the command that you wanna look at how it operates, it'll tell you how to do it. So for example, let's say you don't know what ls does or something, then you can type manual ls and it will tell you all about what it does and explanations of it. So that's an example. Yeah, also Google is your best friend, so always you can always look up what kinds of shell commands you can use. Yeah, so common shell commands is first of all change directory, so you can go to like any directories you want. So let's say, yeah, sorry for going back and forth. So let's say you have, let's say you're in the server and then you wanna, all right, let's see what we have here right now. So ls is like it tells you what files are in that directory. And let's say I want to go into lecture 1. That will get me in there and let's see what's there. So we have B movie text, B, Genesis text, and a bunch of files in there. All right, so what's the other command that we can use? Yeah, so we just use cd and ls, and then we can also use cat, which kind of shows you what's in the file. So let's say I want to look at what is in bmovie.txt. Yeah, so this shows you what's in that text file. Yeah, and then head is it just shows you like the first 10 lines of it. Oh, my bad. Yeah, so this is the first 10 lines of the text file. And then, yeah. And then you have less, move, copy, rm. We can go through this more in detail in demo in a bit. But yeah, the editors that you can use is Nano or Vim or Emacs. In this class, we're going to be using Vim. So yeah, actually we can show you how to do the demo. All right. So let's do the demo with the B text.
You already demoed a few.
Yeah, I
commands.
did kind of build this stuff.
Some extra ones that are super important to navigating your files. And by the way, for the record, this is your, in case you're wondering what this is your host name. I'm pointing with my finger. But so the park is
My
like username for host, or not host name, sorry. Username. And you log in with that to whatever your host is. In this case, it is Tsunami. And Tsunami is one of our servers in the back right there, which is, and you get a free like shell account or like access to that server, a certain amount of storage with your OCF account. And then of course you've got whatever directory you're in next to that. And so the tilde slash stands for your home directory, which is different depending on what you have it set as or configured to be. By default, it's usually in like root, home, your username. And then she is in lecture 1 directory. So say if I want to go to the directory before this, I go // or not // just .. actually works. Say ls again. I'm in the folder before that. And then lecture 1's right there. I can go back. CD stands for change directory, back in the lecture 1. There I am again. ls, there's all the stuff. What else am I forgetting? MV is good to move files. So I'm going to move genesis.txt to, let's say I want it out of lecture 1 into the folder that lecture 1 is stored in. Do that. The first argument is and arguments is like the thing following the command. So
It's like this. Well, arguments are actually the dash and then
The flag and then the
Yeah.
argument.
Okay. Anyway, yeah, for the first argument, and the second one is
Command. Alright.
the other place you're moving the file. So we move Genesis to the directory before it. We cd there. And there it is in our new directory. Let's move it back to where it was before. Genesis.txt until lecture 1. And there we go, we're back. You'll get faster at these as time goes on. It'll be a little slow at first, running using command line. I'm sure some of you probably already have in computer science classes, but it's good to get good at it. It's very useful. So some more commands, you can use CP. Say I want genesis.txt, I want a copy of it, genesis2.txt. And that's the second thing you put in as the name. And there it is. You have genesis2.txt that now exists. Or I don't like the name genesis2.txt. I want to name it cat.txt. There it is. Use the move command also to rename files, which is useful. What else are some little tricks that are really good to know?
Less.
Oh, right. I was going to show off. Did you already do?
No, not yet.
No less? Okay. So say you've got a big file. You've got the entire B movie script in this case. You need, and instead of doing, let's see here, you already did cat, right?
Yeah.
Instead of catting the entire thing into your terminal, because that kind of sucks and hard to scroll up on, you can do less bmovie.txt, and that gives you the opportunity to scroll through it using either Vim key bindings, that would be J and K to scroll up and down, or your arrow keys, and it's a good way to navigate very large files. What else? And then to demo the 3 text editors we were talking about, Nano is probably the simplest one.
Yeah.
And it's good for people who don't want to learn, who just need something really quick. But ultimately, you'll probably be faster and better off learning them in the long run. That's Nano. Right there, it's got all the commands laid out for you. Navigate arrow keys. We have Emacs, which is a different one. I've never personally gotten super into, but I know some people are big on it. It's very configurable, customizable. Both of them and Emacs are very configurable. That's the entire idea of like most free open source software, like stuff in the Linux community. And then you've also got, oh wait, it's command, so you can exit. What's the Emacs again? Command Z.
Yeah, let me.
There you go. There we go. Not an Emacs user. And then of course you've got my favorite, my beloved, really good way to edit files. Has a lot of very cool key bindings that make going around, deleting things, doing stuff super duper fast. We'll be working with them a little bit today. Anyway, does anybody have any questions about what I just did? I know I ran through like 15 million things at the speed of light, but
would it be fine to clear the screen when you're running commands? It's a bit difficult here to see the bottom.
Oh, yeah. For sure.
oh, wait, what was the question? To clear
He
it?
wants to clear it
Oh.
every time we.
Yeah, and clearing it is Command L.
Yeah.
Which will clear like the commands. Sorry. Yeah, Command L to clear the screen. Also, to get to the beginning of the line as you're typing, and drag this down
Yeah.
so people can see.
Just.
I don't use Mac.
Oh.
What is it? Oh, just spread this. Okay. You can use Control A to go to the front of the line super quickly. So you forgot to run sudo. That's a good way to do that. Or you can do Control K. But like we said, Google is your best friend. You're not going to remember everything I just said. That's okay. But there's always an easier way to do things if you look it up. So,
Indeed.
any more questions related to navigating the shell?
Sorry, how do you get that?
Control A. You can look up like bash shortcuts, and that'll get you most of the little things you can do. You can go forward like by word to the beginning to the end. Because I'd hate for you guys to be like
Indeed.
going around with arrow keys the entire time. It's a really bad way to do things, and it would waste seconds, precious seconds of your life. So
Okay, never
Any other additional questions about text editors and the shell? No? All right.
Oh, I forgot to show you this, but if you want to look at your systems, you can see that
Neo fetch command.
yeah, it's running in Debian. I guess these are other information that we're gonna, I guess, revisit later.
Oh.
Kernel, packages, etc. Yeah, that's it for demo, I think.
Yeah, does anybody on Zoom have any questions? Feel free to put them in the chat or speak now. No? Okay. Go back to the
Yeah.
slideshow.
let's do that. Yeah, sorry. There you go.
Cool. Okay, so a little more about the history of all this stuff that I just showed you. How did it come about? Important to, I guess, both the OCF's culture, the OCF being like this building and organization behind the decal, and also to a lot of the software these cool utilities are built on. So everything I just used is free and open source software called FOSS. Probably see this acronym around once or twice on various forum posts. You can also see FLOSS. I've never seen that one personally, but I guess it exists. But what does free and open source software mean? Well, free means free as in beer, so it's not going to cost you any money. Yay! And free is in freedom. Like, let me describe the concept of freedom. You're free to do whatever you want with it. We'll go a little more into what freedom means in a second. But an open source, by the way, okay, to clarify, and an open source is different from free. Open source software is the term used. Can I move some of the Zoom stuff?
Yeah.
There we go.
Yeah.
Term used by some software and technology companies. You may not have the right to use, modify, or redistribute the software source code. So you might have things like, I'm trying to think of examples of open source software that aren't free. Feels like it's not that common. Anyway, there's some cases where you can see the source code, but you might not have like permission to use it for whatever you want. Free software, you can do whatever you want with it. You can copy it, you can give it to your friend, you can modify it so there's a Hatsune Miku gift every time you start it up. You can do whatever you choose. Open source software, this is not necessarily the case. You will need to read the license carefully in a lot of cases. And you'll also see the term Libre. It is synonymous with free. Yeah. So GNU and the free software movement. Here's a quote by our Lord and Savior, Richard Stallman, in 1983, describing free software. He said, so that I can continue to use computers without violating my principles, I have decided to put together a sufficient body of free software so that I will be able to get along without any software that is not free. And this was him describing why he created the GNU utils, which are all of the bash commands I just showed you. Most of those were GNU utils, which kind of mated with the Linux kernel to create the operating system we know and love today. So yeah, he said this in, I believe, his first post announcing that he was working on GNU utils, which I've linked at the bottom of these slides. And we'll also play a bit of him speaking on free software at the end of this lecture. Yeah, there's the guy who said that. I know you're probably picturing him just by reading the quote, but that's what he actually looks like. He's beautiful.
Yeah,
I couldn't be prouder. So yeah, more into what free software means. This is how it's defined by the Free Software Foundation. Let's look at it. You have number one, the freedom to run the program as you wish for any purpose. Number two, the freedom to study how the program works and change it so it does your computing as you wish. Access to the source code is a precondition for this. That's why all free software is by definition also open. Square is always the right thing. You get the idea. You have the freedom to redistribute copies so you can help others. And number four, the freedom to distribute copies of your modified versions to others. By doing this, you can give the whole community a chance to benefit from your changes. Access to your source code is again a precondition for this. Yeah, it's like, I describe it to my parents as software communism. It does like, which I think does a decent idea of getting the idea across. It's supposed to make software like a little more community based, a little more friendly, a little more better, I guess. Does anybody have any questions so far about the philosophy of free and open source software? Nope. You guys got it? Good. I expect everybody to have pictures of Richard Stallman as their wallpaper by the end of this course. So let's go a bit into BSD, Berkeley Standard Distribution, which is a term you may have seen thrown around on Reddit being like, God, we need to go back to the old days when we had Berkeley and BSD, because BSD is an operating system that was created here in Berkeley, on the very ground we stand on, in 1978. It was very popular and reliable, and a lot of things from BSD are used today. It kind of works like, so we had the original Unix operating system, which is like the mother of everything. And then BSD came from that. And then Linux is not a derivative of BSD, they're separate. But like they kind of borrowed from each other in the same time period. They're like brother and sister. So yeah, we will not be working on BSD operating systems, but it is important, like historically, that this was done here. VI was actually a text editor created for BSD, so, and VI was like one of the first ones, and then we have Vim, which is the one I showed you that we're using today, which is a derivative of that. And more commonly today, we have another derivative called NeoVim, which is even further built on Vim and expanding on it. And we also have Berkeley sockets, which I believe are like networking sockets type that originated in the BSD operating system. They're still used today. Stuck in legal limbo with AT&T. Yeah, I guess if I'm remembering my history correctly, they used some parts of like AT&T's networking code in BSD, and it was cool with AT&T for a while, but then suddenly it wasn't. For whatever reason, they got in a messy legal battle. I believe Berkeley came out on top because the people that created it were researchers at Berkeley. Yeah, I don't know, you have to read the full Wikipedia article for that one, but there's a lot of BSD derivatives that are still popular today, albeit not as popular as Linux, and definitely not as popular as, actually no, we have Mac OS up here, so I take that back. That one's pretty popular, still not as popular as Linux. FreeBSD, OpenBSD, these are really good for running things like web servers, mail servers, whatever you like. I usually see them used in a server context, but you could run them on your laptop as your personal desktop if that's what you choose to do. Yeah. So, question is, why would I use a Unix system, BSD, and anything in that realm over, say, a non-Unix system? I don't know, Windows, for example. Reason number one, the Unix philosophy: simple, short, clear, and modular code. That expands to everything. Anything from like software to, again, operating systems can adopt the Unix philosophy in the code they write or possess. Unix idea, everything is a file. So that would mean even like printers or processes running on your computer are viewed as a file by the file system, by the computer, which has been pretty good for writing like APIs and having things interact with each other. What else? Worse is better, which is a strange phrase from a strange time. What was it, 1989? It was like another essay by like famous computer scientists who basically argued that like not necessarily having more features makes a program better. Sometimes having less features, but doing those features really well is actually superior in a lot of cases. What else? Let's see here. Well, Unix originate some like networking sockets that were pretty important and are copied in systems beyond those that are Unix based. And I can move this. There's a quote from a guy who implemented TCP/IP, another networking protocol. It's very simple. You read the protocol and you write the code. The idea is making things simple to understand for people, simple to use. Yeah. And you can look up the Unix philosophy for like more on the standards for that. Does anybody have any questions related to Unix and Linux and all this stuff? You can clarify. No? Okay, you're all professional historians now. So again, why free open source software? Number one, security. If you understand and can see the code that is running on your machine, you know that nothing funny is going on. They're not running code you don't approve of or want to see. Also, a lot of open source software is vetted by, well, everybody that has access to the internet, or a lot of nerds that have access to the internet that want to vet it. So you generally know that like, if someone put something strange in open source code that seemed malicious, it would be found out pretty fast. Second reason, cost. It is free. I'd like to reiterate this. It doesn't cost you any money to run Linux on your personal computer. It's very fun also, or on any machine. Third thing, privacy. Like I was saying, if someone was running something that wanted to, if you're on a Windows machine that would like spy on a lot of what you're doing within the application, you'd never know because you don't have access to the source code. You don't know what that program is doing. Number four, control of your software. If, say, you don't like the color of, I don't know, it's a random piece of software. You don't like the color of the Minecraft launcher? Minecraft is proprietary. You want to change it? Tough luck. I mean, you can kind of mod it, but you can't like go into the source code, change stuff. A lot of the time, or like with Google Chrome or something, right? You're limited to what features they give you as a user, kind of held on a leash in that sense. And finally, collaboration. There's lots of opportunities to collaborate when the source code for software is open to the entire internet. Anybody can contribute to it. It's really quite beautiful. And these are a bunch of types of open source software. GIMP is one, it's a Photoshop alternative. You have Chromium, not to be confused with Google Chrome, that's proprietary. And also the worst at privacy, I would say, in case you weren't aware. You've got Android, you've got Python, you've got Firefox, the list goes on. Anybody have any questions? I don't think so. Okay. So yeah, a bit more about licenses and what makes something legally free and open source. A lot of free software has what's called a copyleft license, and you got to look out for this if you're using other people's code in your project. Because anything with a GPL, OpenGPL copyleft license requires you to also make your software free, which is why some people describe it as a cancer that attaches itself in an intellectual property sense to everything it touches. But he's just like, so if you don't want, say, you design your own operating system, and then this is total hypothetical, Intel uses it to create something that spies on everybody with an Intel chip in their computer. And you didn't want that to happen. Well, that's too bad because you used a permissive license. You used MIT, your operating system. So Intel can do whatever they want. They can take what you created and they can sell it to people for money. And that's fine, and you're stuck. So that's the benefit of a copyleft license. But it also might make people avoid using what you created because a company, if you don't mind a company like taking what you made and using it, then copyleft licenses might just stop your code from reaching the widest possible audience. So yeah, there's pros and cons. I'd suggest you go to choosealicense.com/licenses and look through what types of licenses you want for your code and actually think about it whenever next time you create a project or a piece of software, because it does matter. particularly for personal projects, because you never know when you'll make the next thing that goes in the Intel management. So does anybody have any questions related to licenses? No? Yes? Mhm.
Are there any default
Just on license.
anyway?
Yeah. I believe when you create a project on GitHub, it'll let you like select a license right off the bat. This should give you like an in-depth, I want to give you a tutorial on how to license your software because I'm scared I'll get it wrong verbally right now. But just look it up online. Make sure you do it. And yeah, by default it's on license, which is very similar to a permissive license. Permissive licenses are like one sentence which says you can do whatever you want, take it and go, in essence. Yeah, any more questions related to licenses on Zoom or in person? No? All right, we're moving on. Again, a lot of this is just like background historical stuff. We'll get into the more technical content of the course in later lectures. Here are some additional resources. Resource number 1 is google.com for everything moving forward past this point in the following weeks. Whenever you encounter a problem, a command won't run, you don't know what to do, look it up. Someone's probably had that same issue on Stack Exchange 3 years ago, and you will find the answers there. We've also got some extra links that were chosen, Linux System Administrator's Guide. These are all linked in the slides, which are available on the site. Sorry if you're having trouble reading that. You can go on the Arch Wiki. Are you reading the Arch Wiki text? It says, if the Arch Wiki offered dating advice, no Linux user would be single. As site manager of the OCF.
Awesome.
That's supposed to say, because the Arch Wiki is so comprehensive. You get the idea. I like this one a lot, but I also use Arch Linux on my personal computer. So it's particularly helpful for me. Instead of Windows or Mac OS.
That's it.
Yeah, I think that's it for this presentation. Any final questions before we get into the lab? No? Okay, let's get to it. Anybody on Zoom? Nope. Okay. You guys have a good night then.
Bye, guys.